All right, so welcome everyone. Today we are going to do a class we're going to start with some Katonah style sun salutations, and then we're going to do some hip work. We're going to do some pigeons. We're probably going to do hangs and a forward fold. And so if you have a yoga blanket, a towel, some pillows, a bolster, you'll want to have at least one of those things nearby for our pigeons, for our hip work, and even for our hangs. And of course, if you have blocks, we'll use those for either our fold or in our seated meditation at the end. So first, I want to just demonstrate, and for those of you, anyone who's new to class or hasn't been here in a while, if I look this way, I have an iPad right here where I can see you guys. So also if you're confused about something, you can unmute yourself, you can wave at me, and I will see you. But we're gonna do a Katonah style sun salutation, which is a little different from like a vinyasa sun salutation or a power yoga sun salutation. And so I actually want to demonstrate that first. I'm just gonna demonstrate it, and then we're going to start with those to warm ourselves up. I don't know about where you all are, but it has been pretty cold and rainy here in Virginia, and like unseasonably so. And especially with this quarantine where we can't get out to classes, we can't go, to a spinning class or a hot yoga class. I find it's helpful to do some of this like heating movement, and maybe if we put our intention behind it, the sun will come out. So I'm gonna take off these silly socks. I was wearing these compression socks today, really because it was laundry day, but they're good for your circulation. So for this sun salutation, we're going to start at the top of the mat. And I will cue you through it, but you'll just, kind of notice where we're going with this so that you have it in your body. As you inhale, you're going to come up, reach up. You can do a little bit of a back bend here. So if you can't see me, I'm just reaching my arms up. Nothing too wild. As we exhale, we'll fold forward. Inhale, you'll look forward. You'll step your right foot back into a lunge and drop your back knee down. Inhale, you can reach your arms up, or if this feels like too much, you can just come up into a lunge and bring your hands on top of your thigh. Exhale, hands come down, and then we're gonna step back into a cross-legged dog. For me, this is easier if I stay up on my fingertips in the dog, but you don't have to do that. So the left leg, that front leg, will cross in front of the back. Bending in the knees, lifting the hips up, look forward. Inhale, come forward and through to a modified upward facing dog so the toes stay tucked. This is super challenging, at least for me. And then hips go up and back, downward facing dog. Your back leg will step forward. So right leg steps forward, back knee down. Arms reach up or they can come to the thighs. And then hands step down, a little different. The back foot steps in behind the front and you come into a cross-legged forward fold. As you inhale, bring your arms forward and through the center to reach up. And then exhale, we'll complete hands to heart. So let's try it together and we'll go slow. We'll do like one side, out of breath. We'll do one side super slow, and then we'll start to speed it up. And I'll continue to cue. So if you want to stay with me, you can stay with me. Or if you feel like you've got it, you want to put a song on that you love, you can really start to pick it up. So let's start with the feet together, hands together. Let's all just take a moment, close our eyes, deep breath in, deep breath out. Open your eyes, root down through your feet, inhale, reach up, look up. As you exhale, fold forward over your legs, forward fold. Look forward, step your right foot back to a lunge. Drop your back knee down, come into your low lunge. You can keep the back toes tucked. Release your hands down. As you exhale, step it back to a cross-legged dog. So that left foot steps in front of the right. And there's a little space between your feet. You bend your knees, that right knee snuggles into the left, and you really lift your hips up. You can do this on your fingertips if you'd like. Inhale forward and through to your plank, to your modified upward facing dog. And then downward facing dog, hips go up and back. Look forward. Right foot steps forward. Drop your left knee down. Reach your arms forward and up into your lunge. And then drop your hands down. Step the left foot behind the right. Cross-legged forward fold. Inhale, come up through center. And exhale, hands to your heart. Take a breath in and a breath out. All right, second side. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale to fold. It's always the back foot that steps back. So left leg steps back, left knee drops down into your lunge. Reach your arms forward and up, Anjaneyasana. Drop your hands down, come back into your cross-legged dog. So the right foot steps in front of the left. Inhale, come forward to your plank, to your modified up dog. And downward facing dog, hips go up and back. Left foot, so back foot steps forward, drop the back knee down. Reach the arms forward and up. Drop the hands down, right foot steps behind the left into your fold. Hands come into center, reach up, lift up. Hands to your heart and pause. Take a breath in and a breath out. All right, so we're gonna go through it a few times. One thing that's super challenging here, at least for me, is having the legs crossed. This forces you to find what we call in Katonah like a third leg, which is the energy between the two legs. It's obviously not an actual leg. We don't have a third leg, but you have to use both of those legs like you're making a braid and you're finding that third leg or that third foot that roots you down. If coming through to the upward facing dog with the legs crossed is too much, just come forward to your plank and back to your dog, and you'll work it to get into that up dog. Cool. Let's do it. All right, so let's just start with our feet together once again. Inhale, reach the arms up, look up. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale, look up. Step your right foot back, low lunge. Drop the back knee down. Reach the arms forward and up, low lunge. Hands drop to the mat. Step the left foot in front of the right, cross-legged dog. Inhale forward for your plank or your modified up dog. And hips go up and back, downward facing dog. Back foot, right foot steps forward into your lunge, left knee down. Reach your arms up, hands to the mat. Left foot steps behind the right, forward fold. Inhale, reach up, look up, maybe go for a little bit of a back bend, root down, and then hands to your heart. Take a breath in and a breath out. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale to forward fold. Step your left foot back, back knee down. Anjaneyasana lunge, reach your arms up. Hands plant down, step it back, cross-legged dog, so right foot over the left. Inhale, come forward and through modified up dog, downward facing dog. Back foot forward, so left foot forward, back knee down. Reach the arms up, hands drop down. Right foot steps behind the left, cross-legged fold. Root down through both feet as you reach the arms up through center. And then hands to your heart. Take a breath in and a breath out. We're gonna do it 2 more times each side. And like I said, if you wanna go a little bit faster, if you wanna put on a song and move to it, if you feel confident, otherwise let's all just do it together. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale to fold. Look forward, step your right foot back, low lunge. Reach the arms forward and up. Hands come down. Step it back to a dog, left foot over right. Inhale forward to your plank, your modified up dog. Hips go up and back, downward facing dog. Back foot steps forward. Drop the left knee down. Reach the arms up. Hands drop down. Left foot steps behind the right, forward fold. Inhale, arms come up through center, reach up. Hands to your heart, take a breath in and a breath out. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale to fold. Look forward, left foot steps back, drop the left knee down. Reach the arms up, big breath in. Hands to the mat. Step that right foot in front of the left, cross-legged dog. Inhale forward and through, and downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward, drop the back knee down. Reach the arms up for your lunge, drop the hands, step the right foot behind the left, cross-legged fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to heart. One more time each side. Inhale, lift up. Exhale to fold. Look forward as your right foot steps back. Drop your right knee down. Reach the arms forward and up. Hands come down to the mat. Step it back, cross-legged dog, left in front of right. Inhale forward and through, upward facing, downward facing. Back foot, right foot steps forward, left knee down. Reach the arms up. Hands come down. Left foot behind the right, forward fold. Inhale to rise up, reach up. Hands to your heart. One more time. Inhale, lift up. Exhale to fold. Left foot steps back, back knee down. Reach the arms up. Hands to the mat, step it back, cross-legged dog. Inhale, come forward and through, modified. Downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward, back knee down, reach the arms forward and up. Drop the hands down, step the right foot behind the left. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands to your heart. Bring your feet parallel, close your eyes. You can drop your hands down by your side. Take a moment. Just notice what that little bit of movement has already done for you, has already brought up for you, has already inspired or shifted or changed in you. And it might just be a physical level. I know I can feel my heart beating, I can feel my blood pumping, my temperature is definitely up. But notice if there's been an energetic shift too. Open the eyes. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, just regular fold over the legs. And then we're going to step back to a dog. So step yourself back, regular downward facing dog. You can measure it out, coming forward to your plank pose, heels reach back, and then send your hips up and back for your downward facing dog. So your plank is your measurement for your dog. You are always welcome to measure. And then finding this normal dog, the 60-degree triangle. Press in through your palms, lift up through your buttock bones. Really feel the crescendo of your spine, especially that lower back. And let your head come between your arms so your ears are in line with your arms. Inhale, come forward to your plank. Fire your heels back, look forward. Spread your collarbones wide. And then send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Good, taking a moment here, just finding the length, finding all 4 points of contact, hand, hand, foot, foot. And then one more time, come forward to your plank pose, look forward, heels fire back, and then downward facing dog, hips go up and back. Drop your knees to the mat, and come into all fours. All fours, so hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And I've made this joke in class before, but I have this beautiful table right next to me. And whether you have a table right next to you, you're trying to make the archetype of a table. So you want these 90-degree angles in your arms and your legs so that your table is really stable. So if you have a block, my blocks ran away from me. If you have a block, or if you have a book, or if you have a shoebox or something, you can use that as a measuring tool to measure yourself up, to find the 90-degree angle in your legs, to find the 90-degree angle in your arms. You can make sure that your hands are shoulder width distance by turning your fingers in towards one another so that the fingertips just touch, and then turning them back forward. So that's your measurement for shoulder width distance. Notice if you lock your elbows like me, give them a slight bend. And then we'll just take a few cat and cows here. So inhale, look forward and up, drop the belly, lift the heart. Exhale, coil and round. Inhale for your cow and exhale for your cat. And you can move this a little bit quicker, a little bit more quickly, creating some fire or moving some fire out. But keep pressing the feet into the mat. Keep finding all four corners of the palm. So noticing if you're shifting way back into the heels of the hands or way forward into your knuckles. And then make sure that you're equally distributing that weight. So it's like you have a good plug in the socket. If your hand was a plug and the earth was a socket, you want to plug in all of the prongs, all four corners. Keep going for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Bring your left knee to the center of the mat, and then the right leg is going to swoop around it so that you're in that cross-legged shape, but on your knees. So you want the left knee to snuggle in behind the right and the feet to be wide. So this is like a gomukasana shape. It's like a cow face shape, but we're up on the knees. And then we're just going to start to take circles with the hips. You can keep the hands right where they are, or if you'd like the additional wrist stretch, you can flip the palms back 180 degrees. Again, just making sure not to lock the elbows. Something that I'm noticing in myself a lot recently is that when I do this, my knees like to come forward of my hip crease, which may be a little hard to see here just because of the colors of my clothing. And so once I set myself up, I refined that 90-degree angle by just slightly walking the knees back. And then you'll start to take circles around the hips. So our hips are the biggest joint in our body, and it's a joint we're going to be working with a lot in class today. We've already worked it quite a bit. And simply by moving around it, we are cleaning it up. Our movement actually informs our body, our growth, our evolution. And so don't just do it your way. Don't just do it the way you know how to do. Let it really measure up. So imagine that there's a clock behind you and you were trying to hit all of the hours of the clock. Like your butt was going to hit all of the hours of the clock, really allowing yourself to go around and around. Good. And then come back through neutral, and with the same knee on top, let's take it the other direction. So go counterclockwise in the hips. And especially if this is a newer practice to you, it might feel difficult, might feel challenging. You might have to really think about it, okay, where's 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock? And that's okay, because as you do this, you'll form new neural pathways, and not only will it become easier, you'll also have more access to that part of your body that you weren't able to access before. Good, come back through center, flip the palms around. If you would flip them back, just plug them right back in. Walk your hands forward a few inches and then slide that left leg on top. So you're coming into that cross-legged shape with the left leg on top. The right knee snuggles behind the left. And then this time you can pick, either come up onto your fingertips. Again, I find this nice, especially because I tend to be someone who is stable and using my arms a lot. So coming up on the fingertips is challenging, but it's actually kind of a relief. But you might find that you want to do the flipped wrists again. You want to keep your hands down, or if you've practiced with me before, you know you can interlace your fingers and place this interlace underneath the chest. That's the other option. So pick not just what feels good to you, but something that may be challenging. And then start to stir your hips. We will begin counterclockwise. So again, imagining that there's a clock behind you and that you could hit all the hours of the clock. So the first few times you might go really slow, be really articulate, be really specific, but then start to speed it up. Start to whip yourself up. Nice. And then take a moment and pause and go the opposite direction. So go clockwise. Just noticing if one direction is easier or more natural for you. Again, that's not bad or good. It's all just information about where you like to go, where you don't like to go. Good. Go a little bit faster for these last few. Nice. And then plant your palms down, come back to your regular tabletop position. And let's just do a little bit for our feet here because I feel like we haven't done this in a few classes. Tuck your toes and come to sit back on your heels. If you have a block or a blanket or something, you can put that between the heels of your feet and the heels of your butt. This will just help take a little bit of the weight off of your toes, but eventually you are comfortable to do this sitting back on your heels. And we're going to do a Kapalabhati breath here. So this is the breath of fire. If anyone is pregnant, you'll skip this part. You'll just breathe long and deep. You can reach your arms up, bring your hands into cups. So arms form a V. They're again in line with your ears. Hands create those little cups. Close your eyes and begin to pump the breath. So it's a sharp and specific exhale out through the nose, and it looks and sounds like this. So you're using the belly to pump the breath in and out, or you're just focusing on the exhale, the out, 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 out. So just keep going. And hopefully the breath is giving you a little bit of a distraction from what may or may not be going on in your feet. Continue for another 20 breaths. So just keep breathing. If you really hate this, go faster, speed up time, get to the end quicker. And if you love it, bless you, and maybe go a little bit slower. But really this breath is meant to be agitating. This pose is meant to be agitating. Let's all go for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Hook your thumbs above your head. Hold the breath full. Go down to your pelvic floor. Squeeze it up. Connect to your roots. And then exhale. Imagine the breath shooting out the crown of the head. Come forward. Untuck your toes. Tap the tops of your feet onto the mat. Let that go. And then come to sit back on the heels with the toes untucked. And this might be where you stay, but eventually you start to lift the knees. Lifting the knees to open up that front crease of the ankle. Our joint space is where it's where we're supposed to move through, but it's also where we tend to get stuck if we don't move there. And so things like our wrists, our ankles, but then also our knees, our hips, our shoulders, our neck. That's where we oftentimes get injured. We start to get pain if we're not moving or moving properly through those joints. Good, come forward. And then tuck your toes, send your hips up and back to your downward facing dog. So keeping a little bend in the knees in your downward facing dog. You can walk from hand to hand, foot to foot. Just finding all 4 points of contact once again. Inhale, come forward to your plank pose. Drop your hips for your modified upward facing dog. Let this be a nice stretch, not a lazy stretch for your legs flop down. Keep those legs firing back, heart lifts. And then exhale, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna come into our pigeons now, or our hips series now. So if you have a blanket or your pillow or your bolster, you're gonna wanna grab that. And I'm always a fan, even if you do feel like you have the range with this, to put something underneath you. I, for one, always thought that I could come all the way down into my pigeon. I didn't need any props. And then I just realized that I wasn't necessarily setting myself upright and I don't want to say causing more harm, but not doing myself any service in this pose by not being in the joint space. And I'll kind of talk through what I mean by that. So you're going to want to set your blanket up towards the first third of your mat. And then you can either come into this from your tabletop just swinging your right leg forward and kind of shimmying it over the blanket. Or if you want to, you can come into your downward facing dog. If you don't have blankets, but you have a block, you can grab a block and place that. You want it right underneath your perineum. So your perineum is the place between your genitals and your anus. It is, for all intents and purposes, if we think of like the pelvic floor, what's rooting down? Again, that third leg, the thing between your two legs, that's what we want pointing straight down to the mat. And that's what we want supported here. And so for me, even you might be able to see this, there's a little bit of space between my pubis and the floor. I could actually use another blanket, or I'm going to use a block in this case. It's better to put yourself higher and then really be specific with the pose than to kind of do it sloppily and not get as much out of it. Great. So the thing that we want to work on here is keeping our hips square. And what that means, again, we're going to use that metaphor of the clock underneath us, the clock underneath our pelvis, that your right hip is going to be at 3 o'clock and your left hip is going to be at 9 o'clock. So we're not letting this left hip open way up and just opening the groin, but instead we're working in the joint space and truly opening up the hip. So something I find helps is to tuck the back toes, use that active leg to draw the left hip forward, up and around, and then you can untuck the toes and plant it back down. You'll walk yourself forward. This is where if you have other props, it's really great. You can place a block underneath your sternum, underneath your forehead. If you do have the range, maybe you stack your hands and let your head drop. If you have extra props, I'm going to remove the one from underneath me just to show this. You can place 2 blocks sort of angled towards one another, either on the lowest or the medium height or the highest height, and these will go right underneath your armpits. That's more of like a Katonah restorative pose. But you want that lower body to feel really stable, and then something to support your upper body so that you can release, so that you can let go of holding on. Many of us, especially in modern society, we're really capable, we're really good at muscling our way through things, we're really good at using our upper bodies, our capabilities, our abilities, our tools and techniques, and yet we struggle with the stability aspect. And stability, especially if we look at the body, stability doesn't mean stagnancy. It doesn't mean that I can't move my lower body here. It doesn't mean that I'm stuck. It means that I move in a functional way and that I actually have both mobility and stability. So you can keep working with that idea of getting your hips at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. We want to keep the lower body right where it is. And then you're going to walk your fingertips out in front of you. So look forward. It's almost like you're starting a little mini back bend here, starting from your pubic bone to your navel to your sternum. You're looking forward. And then you'll walk your fingertips over to the right. So over to 2 o'clock if the clock were all around you, almost so that your belly button comes to that right thigh. And keep looking out. So resist the urge to just kind of round in and drop in. Let this be active, and then find that cross reference or that length from your left back foot out to your right fingertips. Lengthen those two pieces apart, creating more space in your body. And then making a big arch, a big rainbow. Walk your fingers back through center and then over to the left side. Eventually on this side, your belly button finds like your heel of your foot or your foot. But we're not gonna release down. You totally could. We're gonna keep this a little active. And then in this side, fine, there's no right leg reaching back, but imagine that somebody were bringing their hand into your right hip crease and they were rooting that down. So that right hip roots down and you go up and out, especially through those left fingertips. Walk the hands back through center, and we're going to come to sit up on it. So this is where it is also really nice to have blocks, but not necessarily, because you can bring your hands onto blocks. If you start to come up and you feel this in the lower back, likely that means that you need to come up higher. So maybe you have another pillow or a prop or something that you can grab onto, or if you don't, no worries, just know for next time. So you can keep your fingertips, you can walk them by your hips or walk them on blocks. You can reach your arms up, grab for opposite elbows. And same thing here, fight for that left hip forward, right hip back. Left hip forward, right hip back. Finding 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock with your hips. If you want to, you can take this into a back bend, interlacing your fingers, reaching your elbows straight up. And you're not just going back, you're going up and then back, up and over. Taking a few breaths here, finding the stability beneath you to rise a little higher. And then release your hands down. If you have a block beneath you, you're gonna remove that. You're gonna come into double pigeon. I'm just gonna turn around so I face the camera so you guys can see this, but you're gonna swing your left leg over your right. If you have a blanket or a towel or something, you can absolutely sit up on it. And I do recommend sitting up on something here, especially if your knee is flying up. So double pigeon, also known as ankle to knee pose, we want exactly that, ankle over knee, knee over ankle. So first find that alignment. So it's not foot to knee pose. And the reason we don't want this is because when we start to do this, we get a sickle in the foot. And this sickle in the foot is not doing us any good because it's taking us out of our joint space, not just in the ankle, but also in the hip. And then what you can also do here is rotate your thighs inward and pull your butt out so that you get more into that pelvic rotation. So what you'll do first is you can reach behind you, grab for the fleshy part, and pull that away from your sitting bones. So you're sitting more up on top of yourself. And then you can grab for your thighs and rotate inward. And it might just be like a small little rotation, but perhaps that helps you to get the leg down a little bit more. There's no problem if your knee is floating. I'd prefer for you to have like this integrity in the foot and the ankle. And what I mean by that is that this is a flush foot. So you can use a block or you can just look at it like it's not a sickled, sad, floppy foot. It's a flexed, engaged, right angle foot. So I'd rather that than you kind of like fight your knee down, but you have this sad foot. And we'll get the knee down in just a moment, no worries. So sitting up on top of yourself. If you have blocks, this is a great time to grab onto your blocks. If not, you'll just walk your fingertips out in front of you. And you're gonna walk your fingertips out while keeping length in your back. So we're not rounding forward here just yet. You're coming up and out of your back, almost like you can think cow spine. So there's that tilt of the pelvis. You're lifting up and off of your kidneys, which are the organs that sit in your lower back. But you're keeping your sitting bones rooting down. So sitting bones root down, perineum, that third foot roots down, and then your upper body can start to lengthen out. So as you walk the blocks forward, you can start to fold this a little bit, and you might notice that the knee starts to go down there. Taking a few breaths, I find it especially helpful to just imagine breathing into the lower back, the kidney region right now. The kidneys are connected to our balance, our mobility, and they're also the alarm system of the body, the kidneys and the adrenals together. And so even here, just breathing slowly, as you're in an intense pose, you can start to soothe yourself by the sound of your breath. You can start to tell yourself that you're safe using that breath. And there's nothing that you have to do except for listen to your own breathing. Your kidneys are also connected to the element of water. So they're soothed by water. They're soothed by the sound of the ocean, or even that oceanic quality of your own breath. Whether your hands are on blocks or on the floor, you're going to grab for opposite elbows and then take this up in a back bend. So think pubis, navel, sternum forward, lift yourself up. Nice. And then release your arms down. All right, this is like, I think my least favorite pose, but we're gonna do it anyways. Maybe it's one of your favorites, so you're welcome. Start to come forward, and we're gonna come into that cross-legged or that gomukasana tabletop once again, and we're gonna come back into gomukasana. So you'll come forward just enough to slide the knees together, and then you'll stick your butt back to sit up on whatever you were sitting up on into gomukasana. Ideally here, this bottom knee tucks into the top knee. Both sitting bones are down. You have that, again, that idea of a root beneath you, a third foot, a third leg, just rooting you into the earth. But maybe like me, that's not exactly where you're at today. We're gonna work with it. So like we did in our fire log pose or double pigeon, you can pull the flesh away from your sitting bones. And most of us, when we sit back into this pose, we tend to sit towards the bottom leg. So you can pick your butt up and move it just slightly towards the top leg. Again, here you want to fight not to have that sickled foot, but to have an active, strong, flexed foot. Again, here you can rotate your thighs inward, although you don't have as much of a place to really get into the thigh. You can reach in there and just give it a little push or a little twist. And then hands will come to your feet. You might just stay right here. If you'd like to, you can start to fold forward. And same with our double pigeon, same with some of the other folds we've done today. You'll think pubis, navel, sternum forward, and actually that sternum lands, the belly and the sternum land on that top leg. You can stay right here. If you'd like, you can walk the feet forward a little bit more towards the front of your mat. And then if you want to take this further, again, this is totally fine to stay. You can stay here, or you'll reach opposite hand across for the same foot. So my right hand is grabbing for my right foot, but it's reaching across the body, and then left hand for left foot. So you have a cross leg, crossed arm. This is incredibly intense for me. And then final little piece is you can hook your chin over that top shoulder and swallow a few times to flush your thyroid. So for me, the tendency here is that I start to rock forward and lose that connection, perineum plugging down. If that's you too, don't lose the integrity, the foundation of your pose just for this fancy arm thing. You stay here, you stay sitting up, rooting down, working on opening up the hips. And if you are sitting up like me, one thing that's nice to do is circle around the hips here. Or maybe it's not nice, but it does help. Will help you get into that shape. So if you're down and you have that grip, you can swallow a few more times. And then the last thing here that we'll do in this shape, if you have the grip, is to take it for a twist. And actually, if you don't have the full grip, you can still work with this. The right hand will stay down, the left arm will reach up, taking a twist. So the right hand still has that right foot, the left arm reaches up. Plug down through your perineum, pubis, navel, sternum forward, head is the last thing to turn, eyes look up. And then you can swim that left arm forward to grab for the left foot across the body. Once you have that grip, unwind the bottom arm, the right arm, lift that up and twist on this side. Looking up towards that top palm, keep plugging your perineum down, pubis, navel, sternum forward. And then exhale, release. Come forward into your cross-legged tabletop once again. Tuck your toes and come into a cross-legged downward facing dog. I'm just gonna move some back on my mat. Take a moment in your cross-legged dog. And then we are going to bring the left leg forward. So if your left leg is on top, you'll bring your left leg forward to come into your pigeon on this side. So we're going to do that whole sequence on the other side. It's a journey. So set yourself up. Maybe on the first side, you realize that you didn't have enough support. If there's something else that you can grab around you, grab for it. You can also fold up your blanket again or roll it up like a burrito so that you get a little bit more height. Be creative. Doesn't have to be a yoga prop to work as a yoga prop. And then once again, imagine that clock face underneath your pelvis. And then think left hip goes to 3 o'clock, right hip goes to 9 o'clock. For me, it helps to tuck that back toe, the right toes, and then use the strength of the leg to pull the right hip forward. And then you can start to walk yourself forward, setting yourself up for your pigeon to come down. You can place a block underneath you, or you can use your hands to have some support for your head. Do what you can to let that upper body go as much as you can. And relaxing through the face, relaxing in the jaw. Keep plugging your sitting bones back, that left hip to 9 o'clock, right hip to 3 o'clock. Just taking a few breaths here. And then start to look forward. You can use the blocks for this one or not. Walk your hands out in front of you, so right in front of you at 12 o'clock, and then walk them up and over to 10 o'clock so that your belly button reaches for that left thigh, that front thigh. Keep plugging down through that back foot as you reach out, especially through that left hand, growing really long in that left side waist. And then rainbow your arms over to the other side. So big arch, come back through center, and then hands come over to 2 o'clock. Maybe your belly button finds that heel of the left foot. Imagine that somebody has their hand in your left hip crease and they're pulling that back or rooting that down as you reach up and out, especially through that right hand. And then walk yourself back through center. Come to sit up on it. And so a couple different variations here like we did on the first side. You can just sit up on it, hands on blocks. It also might feel nice to place one hand on your thigh and one hand on your foot. That's another way just to connect with yourself here. If you start to feel any crunching in the lower back, put yourself up on something. Put a block underneath you, roll your blanket up a little bit higher, or just stay a little bit more forward so you're not pinching in that lower back. You can also take the arms overhead, grabbing for opposite elbows. Take the opposite elbow on top, so the one that feels a little awkward. Keep thinking that that right hip is drawing forward, that left hip drawing back, so the hips are square. And then you can take it into a back bend if you'd like, interlacing your fingers behind your head, lifting your elbows straight up, going up first and then back. Big breath into those lungs and big breath out. Release your hands down, and we're gonna come to double pigeon on this side. So the right leg will swing forward and around. Just going to move once again to face the camera. So right leg on top. This side might be different. It's all good. Sit yourself up on your blanket, your pillow, whatever. Pull the flesh away from your sitting bones so that you can plug that third foot, that root down. You can give a little rotation to your thighs to rotate them inward. Again, that just helps with the pelvic tilt. And then you might stay right here, but it is nice to walk the hands forward, whether your knee is floating or you have it all the way down. Walking forward just gives you that hinge of the hips more. and naturally the knee will go down. Maybe it's just another inch, maybe it goes all the way down. Keep thinking that you have a back bend here. So as you root your sitting bones down, you lift up and out of those kidneys, like cow spine. And then take a few breaths into your kidneys. If you want, you can walk your hands a little bit further forward, again, on the blocks or on the floor. You can let your head drop for a moment and just breathe into that lower back. And then grab for elbows, opposite elbows. So the one that feels awkward, look forward. Pubis, navel, sternum comes forward as you come to sit up. And then release your hands down. You'll walk forward, slide that right knee in front of the left knee behind the right, coming into your gomukasana shape. You can come into that tabletop to set it up, and then stick your butt out to come back. I have one blanket here. I would ideally like another blanket. So if this is really, really challenging for you, sit yourself up higher. Put something else beneath you. There's no reason to struggle if you don't need to. Nice. Okay, pull the flesh away from your sitting bones. You can rotate those thighs in. Again, this side is extra challenging for me. It's all good. So you can stay right here. If you want to, you can start to fold this forward. Actually, let's all just work with some version of a fold, finding those hips, keeping yourself rooted down as you hinge forward. And then if you'd like, you can take the arm variation, grabbing for your feet, if you can get it. If this just makes you feel like you're crunching up and like you can't breathe, like don't do it. Stay sitting up. Again, you can do what we call like stir the pot, just taking some little circles with your pelvis. Even just sitting here breathing, trying to find both sit bones, that's going to get you somewhere someday. And if you do have the arms, you can take that twist variation, or even if you didn't come down with both arms, you can take the twist variation. So this time, let's start on the left side. Keep the left hand down, right arm reaches up. Find that connection of chest to thigh. And then the right arm sweeps forward and around like you're taking a big stroke. Grab for the right foot, left arm reaches up. Keep your sitting bones rooting back as you twist. Look up. And then release. Come forward onto all fours. Tuck your toes. Come back into your cross-legged downward facing dog. So the right leg is on top. Nice. And then walk yourself back to your feet. So you're in a cross-legged fold. We're just gonna do this little party move. You'll walk your hands to the left, swirl on your toes. And this time your left foot is forward in your little fold. Walk yourself out to your downward facing dog with the left leg crossed on top. And then just step it back, regular downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward and through modified upward facing dog, toes stay tucked, look forward. And downward facing dog, hips go up and back. Big breath in, full breath out. Drop your knees to the mat. Come back to a seat. Okay, we're gonna come into a forward fold, and then we'll do a little bit of pranayama, breath work, and meditation. So this time your blanket, your pillow, something can go towards the back of your mat. If you don't have it, no problem. Legs go out long. One more time, pull the flesh away from your sitting bones. You'll see I'm bending the knees here. It's always a good idea to bend the knees. This bend just gives you, like you can even try it for yourself, try straightening your legs. You might feel that round in the lower back. The bend allows you to get into the hinge of the hips just a little bit more. And then you can start to walk your fingertips forward. If you have a block, You can place the block or 2 blocks in between your legs for a nice landing point for your head. But similar to the other folds we've worked with here, you want to think belly to thighs, chest to thighs. And first you go forward. So there's a back bend to come into the forward fold. So you're lifting up and off of your kidneys. You're not just rounding and stretching that lower back or stressing the lower back. You're lifting up and off. You're staying in the hinge of your hips. And then once you feel like you've got that contact with yourself, you can fold. You can place that block underneath your head or just let your head hang for a moment. We'll actually start our pranayama practice here, or we'll start a pranayama practice. As you inhale, you'll imagine the breath rising up the backs of the legs. So going from the heels, up the backs of the calves, the backs of the knees, the thighs, the lower back. And then as you exhale, imagine the breath pouring over your spine, over your head, your arms, back to your feet. As you inhale, imagine the breath rising up the backs of the legs. As you exhale, the breath pours over your spine. Inhale the breath up the backs of the legs. Exhale, the breath comes over the spine. Just taking that 1 or 2 more times, creating this safe cocoon for yourself with your breath. Your next breath, look forward. Punch your fists forward to get a little punchy, a little, masculine, ambitious, going out there, and then back bend to come up. So once again, pubis, navel, sternum, arms reach straight up, flex those feet, full breath in, release, let it go. And then come to find yourself in a comfortable seat. So I recommend sitting here in Virasana. If you have a block or something that you can sit on, that is super nice. I like to do the block blanket combo, as you might know. But you want to feel that you are once again on that perineum, that you're not slouching, that you're not kind of relaxing back, that you are stable, but also alert. So one last time, you can kind of pull the flesh away from your sitting bones. You'll see my legs are together. If your legs are splaying out, you can bring them back in. And then close your eyes. We'll actually keep your eyes open for just a moment so you can watch, especially if you're new to this. We're just going to move some energy up the body using the breath. So we're going to do specific movements with the breath, starting with a rotation of the pelvis or a tilt of the pelvis. So we're going to inhale as you tilt the pelvis forward. And I have my hands on my hips here. And then exhale, tilt the pelvis back. You can also bring your hands to your knees if that doesn't cause you to totally round your spine, or rest your hands on your thighs. Just make contact with yourself. So inhale, pelvis tilts forward, exhale back. Inhale, exhale. And this is all through the nose. Of course, if you have sickness and you can't breathe through your nose, you can breathe through your mouth, but ideally we breathe through our nose. The nose is the portal to the lungs, so it is truly the most ideal place for us to breathe from, at least to stay in a more parasympathetic state. So inhale, exhale. And just start to feel the fire, feel the energy that you are creating by tilting the pelvis forward and back, forward and back. We like to use the image of you have a match and underneath you, and you're trying to strike that match. So in and out, in and out. Go for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then pause in the middle. You can keep the hands where they are, and we're just going to stir the hips one more time. So take circles with the hips, starting in a clockwise direction. And if you want to, or you can try to link the breath with the movement. So inhale on the left side, exhale on the right. Inhale as you're on the left, exhale as you're on the right. Moving your hips in that circle, trying to make it a nice, round, even circle. And just noticing the places where it's more challenging for you to go, and challenge yourself to go there, if only in your mind, if only in your imagination at first. Go for another few more rounds. And then come through center, and we're gonna switch directions. So go counterclockwise. You're still gonna inhale on the left, exhale on the right. And even though the shoulders, the torso, the head might move a little here, we're really trying to isolate this movement in the hips, letting the energy, letting the initiation come from that first floor of the body, the stability. Going for another 10. And then come back through center. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. All right, we're gonna do one practice for the second floor of the body. We call this the second floor. And then one for the head, and then we'll be done. So this one that we're gonna do on the second floor, more with our arms, more with our torso, it's gonna be an inhale, come forward. So my hands are in fists, my elbows are up. Inhale, come forward, and then exhale, you'll round the spine, you'll punch the fists towards one another. So in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Once you've got it, you can close your eyes, continue to pump the breath. And what I like to imagine here is that I'm breaking through something. I'm breaking through a shell. I'm breaking through something that is holding me back, getting something off my back. So maybe that visualization works for you, or maybe you want to think you're breaking out, you're breaking through, you're going to the next thing, you're going past what you think you're capable of. So just keep going. And if your arms start to get tired, allow yourself to play with that edge. Be at that edge. Let's go for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Reach the arms up above. Hook the thumbs. Go down to your perineum, your pelvic floor, that third foot. Root it down. And then exhale, imagine the breath shooting out the crown of the head. Release the arms down. All right, last one here. Reach the arms up, cross right wrist on top of left, interlace your fingers. So if this is not comfortable or not accessible to you, you can interlace the fingers, pointer fingers point straight up. So either one. And then inhale, you're gonna turn to the left, exhale to the right. And you're giving your head a nice little squeeze, not to hurt it, not to smush it, but to hold it. You can imagine that your arms are giving your head a hug, and in and out, in and out, in and out, plugging down through your seat. So you're staying connected to the earth. And then the image I like to use here is that you are a light bulb and you are screwing yourself into the energy, the intelligence of the universe above you. So you're rooting down, but you're also lifting up. You're connecting to the earth, but you're also connecting to something bigger than you, something above you. In and out, in and out. Go for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Hold the breath full, like you're sipping through a straw. Take in 3 more sips of air. Go down to your perineum, your pelvic floor. Squeeze that up and in. Imagine the breath shooting out the crown of the head as you exhale. Release the arms down. Keep the eyes closed. Just allow yourself a moment here. A moment to land. A moment to observe. A moment to integrate. Perhaps you want to send yourself a little gratitude, a little love. Maybe there's a message or a reminder or a note for self that comes through. And together, let's take a deep breath in and a complete exhale out the mouth. Thank you all so much for taking the time to practice with me today, this afternoon, whatever time it is your time. Namaste. So, let me just stop this recording.